Welcome back to the Second and Short podcast where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Eli.
And I'm Hayden.
And for those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
We made it. I'm going to be happy the next 3 months. Nothing in my life could go wrong. One of my dogs could run out into the street and get hit by a semi-truck, and I would still be happy.
I might quit the pod.
It is football
You could get
season.
shot through the chest in downtown
San Francisco. You know what? As long as I was alive to see that football game Thursday night, I'm going to be all right. We've done it. This offseason seemed longer than others. I don't know. Maybe that's just something with age. I enjoy less things in life now, so I just get a lot happier during football season.
My gosh.
Sorry, I guess I had something from the all hate episode from last week, but in honor.
None of us have anything
comment.
left. None of us have anything left in there.
Shout out whatever that guy's
Yeah,
name
shout
is.
out to that comment. If you know, you know. Alright. So, NFL starts in 2 days. We obviously have Baltimore playing the Chiefs in the opener. We're also going to have a bonus game on Friday night. I'm going to be rushing after I'm done coaching to go tune into Packers, Eagles. Hopefully, all the players and all the staff are safe because supposedly they've already been warned how dangerous Brazil is.
So stupid.
This.
Specifically Sao Paulo.
I was gonna say, aren't
Like
the-
gang-related stuff.
They're not allowed to wear green.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
believe-
what are the Packers wearing?
That's a great question.
It's,
Both teams are green.
Why? Well, I know Eagles are wearing an all
the
black.
white, they're wearing
So it's
white and then black pants.
White.
Yeah.
And then I think it's black and white. The Eagles are wearing black and the Packers are wearing white, I thought. Because it's a Philly home game.
Well, I know the
Green
Eagles. Well, I
jerseys.
know the Eagles are wearing a
They
black
can't wear
helmet.
green.
Well, the Eagles are wearing a black alternate helmet
Green
too.
Bay
So
Packers
they're
announced
on.
they will wear green jerseys to play in the first ever NFL game.
Interesting. That's bold. I like it. Packers 10-7.
Hey, if they win 8 games, I'm getting $20.
Hey, listen,
That's
all I'm
I
saying
know.
is half their team might get shot, so it might be looking real good after week 1.
All right, this is a dark episode all of a sudden. So let's just go through real quick. Really simple episode. We're gonna go through all the awards, give our predictions. We're gonna go through our Super Bowl matchup with the winner, and then also Naples had the idea. Let's throw out a bold prediction out there. But super simple. Might be a quicker episode to be honest, but let's put everything out there on record right now. We'll revisit it after the season. Keep the receipts for the good ones and the bad ones. So starting off with the most prestigious award given out. No, Josie, not the Walter Payton
I was
Award.
hoping that's what you were going
winner.
to say.
The MVP. And I'm going to start off here. I've been very outspoken about it. I am riding high on the Bengals right now. I am a believer in Joe Burrow. I think either he wins MVP or, spoiler alert, they win the Super Bowl or both. I'm going Joe Burrow as my MVP pick.
It's a good pick. I'm high on the Bengals this year too, but I just think that there's a guy who people have been screaming for probably about 3 seasons to be MVP. And spoiler alert, he lost his number 1 wide receiver this past offseason. I think if Josh Allen goes out there and balls out like he has in the previous years, there's no way they don't give him MVP this season. In my mind, it's like it's Josh Allen's year, and if they don't give it to him this year, he might never get it.
He
That's
was my
where I'm at.
preseason pick last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Going to
mine
the Super
too.
Bowl.
Yeah, and I think my preseason pick last year was Jalen Hurts, and that didn't turn out too well. So I'm riding the Josh Allen train this year. I just think that his numbers are gonna look great regardless of who's out there, and I just think that there's no way they can't give it to him this year.
Yeah. I'm going a very popular pick among most people. You know, I'm going to ride with my boy CJ Stroud, and here's a couple reasons why. Now, I think CJ is set up to have a great statistical year. The Texans are set up to have a very good win percentage this year. I think 12, 13 wins is very realistic for the Texans. They're playing a very unknown division. What are the Colts? What are the Jags? What are the Titans? So they can easily go 5-1 in the division. Historically, the MVP's gone to a quarterback who's either the 1 or the 2 seed and wins their division, which is very important for that award. If you look back, except for historic season record breaking stuff, but historically you have to be the 1 or the 2 seed to get that award, and I think the Texans are one of the teams set up to do it. I also agree with the Bengals is a good pick for Joe Burrow, but gotta ride with CJ Stroud.
It's to your point with the division winners, I got Lamar back to back. I think Burrow's getting all the love. I don't hate that. Like, I think whoever's winning the AFC North, I think their quarterback's almost going to have to play at an MVP level because of how good that division is.
Yeah.
My favorite in the division is the Ravens. I think that there's going to be some challenge with Lamar winning it because of that back-to-back. I feel like voters are less likely to give somebody the MVP when they've won it the year before. Maybe that shouldn't be the case, kind of like the same thing with the Heisman, but I think Lamar has another breakout year, or not a breakout year, I guess, but an amazing year and leads the Ravens to the North.
Since we're talking about AP awards right now, did you guys see what happened on the McAfee show today, dude?
Tone Diggs.
Tone Diggs got an AP vote on air. The guy gave it, like, he told him he's going to get an AP vote this year.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
wild.
Yeah, that's
I do
awesome.
want to, like, I know I'm a little bit of a McAfee glazer, but the fact that McAfee was offered and he said, I should not do this, but I do have a pal on my team, like, kind of just, Pat McAfee's one of one. Love him or hate him. But going back to Eli's comment, if Lamar would win back-to-back, he would have 3 MVPs. That puts him in exclusive company for quarterbacks and NFL players all time. I
And
think
he's young too.
I think
it's not
3
like he has-
MVPs.
6, 7?
If he wins 3 MVPs at this point in his career, I think he already has an argument for top 10 quarterback of all time, which is absurd when you look at the stats and the lack of playoff success. But that's how rare having 3 MVPs by the time you're 28 is.
Then I would just get the ring argument forever.
But that's the thing. Dan Marino's like the king of the ring argument. He has 1 MVP.
Yeah.
Lamar already has twice as many MVPs
Yeah,
as him.
No, I really like the Lamar thing because, like, if you look at it, his numbers last year weren't even like that amazing. Like, and so like if he goes out and puts up like amazing numbers, you'll look at like this is what he did last year. This is how even better he is. And
People
like
love to do
that
that
would
too.
and
It's
that would be
yeah.
the case for him winning back to back. Would be like these were his numbers last year and he won it, and this is what he's doing this year. So
Yeah, it'll be tough with some of those receivers. Hopefully, he just feeds Zay, but
Going off of what you said, Naples, about the numbers, Lamar wasn't the runaway MVP candidate for most of the season. It was 2 guys who I advocated for last year when we did the same exact segment. Give me a non-quarterback MVP. Tyreek Hill had a very good chance at it, and then the Dolphins faltered down the road. CMC had a chance with the Niners, but then once again, Lamar beating them on Christmas Day kind of threw that away.
yeah.
I'm holding out for a non-quarterback MVP once again this year. But also, guys, all 4 of us not taking this guy just kind of makes me know he's going to win MVP. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes. The fact that all 4 of us chose a different quarterback, like
It's just one of those answers where it's like,
It's a
who do you
chalk
want to win the
answer.
Super Bowl?
Yeah.
The Chiefs. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a wrong answer. It's just like
No,
it's
fun.
easy.
Yeah, he's
No.
definitely the favorite. I mean, if the Chiefs win 14 games and he throws for over 4K and 30 touchdowns, like,
and that's the thing. On paper, the offense got
yeah,
better.
yeah,
He's still
exactly.
Travis Kelce.
He's got a lot more weapons on the
The O-line
outside that can stretch the
road,
field. Like and like you look at it from what he was able to do in 2018, right? Like he could put up something pretty similar to that. Like there'd be no like question that he could win the MVP.
So real quick, just to go through this, on FanDuel Sportsbook, I just want to run through where everybody's at that we named. Patrick Mahomes is number 1 on there. Josh Allen's 2. Joe Burrow's 3. You have to go all the way down to 8 for Lamar Jackson.
what?
Guys in front of Lamar Jackson: C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, all above Lamar Jackson.
yeah, that's the
So
worst
that's.
bet you
I mean,
can
if you're putting your money on something, you would put it on Lamar Jackson. Put $10 on Lamar, you win 170, whatever it is. So,
yeah, no, I like that.
All right, offensive player of the year.
I can start with this one. And this is kind of the reason why I didn't go Joe Burrow for MVPs, because I've got Jamar Chase as the offensive player of the year, and let me tell you why. So, CJ Stroud MVP case, I think he can put up better numbers and like he has a better chance at his division. Also, he's going to be spreading that wealth around to like multiple different people. Yes, T. Higgins is there, but really Jamar Chase is that offense, and there isn't really a clear number 3 receiver in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase has the potential to just pop off this year. Like he could break 2,000 yards. I think he's definitely going to be in that 1,500 plus range if he plays the whole year. And if the Bengals win 10 plus games, like Jamar Chase could have a monster year, and I'm really high on them.
Do you think the holdout, like, do you think that affects him at all, or do you think that could help him? Where they're like, imagine if he played 17 games if he holds out for a few.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can put up his really good numbers regardless, but I think he'll be there for week 1.
See, I'm really high on Jamar as well this year. I think he does hold out week 1 only because of the matchup they have being New England Patriots. They're going to win regardless. He's not going to hold out week 2 because they're playing the Chiefs. There's no chance you're going to keep him off the field against the Chiefs. He will, in my opinion, he will play in week 2.
Where's that game at? Do you know?
Is it in Arrowhead?
I think
No,
so.
The Chiefs can't have 2 home games in a row, can they,
Sure
to
they
start
can.
the season?
You can.
Yeah, but it's the Chiefs.
But that sucks though.
Yeah, let's-
the
let's-
more home games you start in the beginning of the year means the more road games later. So I mean,
But ultimately, I would also favor the Bengals if it's in Arrowhead. It is in Arrowhead. Like the Bengals win in Arrowhead. dude.
Arrowhead,
Like they
that's what
do.
they say.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any chance Jamar holds out past week 2 or past week 1, but I do think he holds out week 1. So that's why I'm gonna go in a different direction. I do think that everything you said, I believe, other than the fact that I don't think he gets 2K in 16 games. Like maybe. That'd be great, but
it's good for my fantasy teams.
yeah, I'm gonna go receiver. I'm gonna go the guy that just got paid. I think CD Lamb this year is gonna be an absolute monster. I mean, they don't have anybody else to pass to. They're gonna pass the ball because they're not gonna run the ball 30 times with Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle. Like they're just not gonna run the ball. So I think CD Lamb is gonna have another year where he has 180 targets, maybe even pushing close to 200 targets, like whatever that number is, and I just think that he's going to absolutely blow up this stat sheet, and it also helps that he's a Cowboy, and the league loves the Cowboys. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't want to do it. I want to do it last year. I pulled up my picks from last year, and my top offensive player of the year, bullet point was, as much as I want to choose Saquon here, I got to stay consistent with my Super Bowl pick and go CMC. My Super Bowl pick, we're riding high with the Eagles again, spoiler alert. I'm going to just say screw it. I hate choosing players that I like because I'm going to jinx them. I'm going to go Saquon. If he gets injured, his career's probably over anyway, so I might as well go out on top with him.
This episode is such a
He
down.
said I might as well.
Did he get 2 years with the Eagles?
I think
Was it
so.
three?
I think
thought it was
2.
2.
Saquon.
Yeah,
Um,
Saquon, can we fact check that?
But anyway, I think they're going to feed him again. If the Eagles somehow go 17-0, Saquon's winning Offensive Player of the Year. So
3 year,
or
37.75 million, up to 47 million, 26 guaranteed. So 2-year deal with probably an out for year 3.
but a lot of my picks are the same reason I went CMC last year. I think that the Eagles find a way to get him ball. They have all off season to think about it. Again, if they're gonna do as well as, I guess we don't even think, we just hope that the Eagles do, then Saquon's gonna have a great year. Yeah, I'm just gonna say screw it, go Saquon. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Eli, can you read that for me? Who's my offensive player of the year choice?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and Naples pretty much hit it on the head. Like I said, I'm so high on the Bengals. I do think Jamar can be a 2,000-yard
Should've said,
receiver.
something crazy.
He said it's gonna be Russell Wilson.
To be honest, Saquon was my number 2 option, so it's kind of ironic. A lot of similar thoughts going on. Just behind that offensive line, even without Jason Kelsey, even with another year older for Lane Johnson, that's still just such a good offensive line, especially in comparison to what Saquon has been playing with. The skill players around Saquon, I know there was a little bit of overlap with OBJ, but having prime A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Jahan Dotson is there now as well. Will Shipley spelling him. Jalen Hurts is out of excuses after this year. It's going to be interesting to see. The Eagles definitely have to overcome that mental obstacle. Last year they were 9-1, and they still fell apart. So this year, even if you go 9-0, who cares? Because last year that wasn't enough. You still fell apart after that 9-1 start. Who's to say it won't happen again this year? I am going to go Jamar Chase, but very close with Saquon.
Update for that one. Again, FanDuel Sportsbook has Tyreek Hill at number 1, Christian McCaffrey at number 2, CD at 3, Jamar at 4, and then you got to go all the way down to 13 to get Saquon.
So Saquon,
So
Lamar, parlay.
I was to say Saquon, if you're looking for the money's worth, he's plus 3,000, and I don't think that's a bad pick by any means. If you're looking at CD or Jamar, our other 2 choices, CD is 1,100 and Jamar is 1,200.
And also, don't forget, Offensive Player of the Year can still just go to a quarterback.
Oh yeah.
So, that's we all in our heads. I think that's partially because we don't want to see a quarterback win both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, but that can't happen.
When was the last time somebody got both? Didn't that happen with like Matt Ryan?
I thought Peyton did it.
Payton might have done it. Rogers might have.
But who won it? Ryan's year. Matt Ryan. When
Matt
he won
Ryan
it.
was
No, Matt
20
Ryan got it both. I
He
think.
got 'em- I
yeah,
think he got
did-
Matt
it.
Ryan
he
was
definitely got 'em both.
2016.
Yeah,
so-
he
I
definitely
think
got 'em both.
Yeah.
But it can happen. While Eli fact checks that, I'm going to move on to Defensive Player of the Year. And this is another one, just like MVP always goes to a quarterback. Defensive Player of the Year every year goes to an edge rusher, which I don't like. It used to be fun seeing defensive backs in there. Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu.
Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon
Most
Gilmore was the
recently.
most recent one. Heck, even off-ball linebackers. You have to go all the way to 2013 with Luke Kuechly.
Ooh.
Kuechly's second year in the league to find an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if there's an off-ball linebacker in today's NFL right now to do it.
Roquan Smith would maybe be the best
Best
option,
chance?
or Fred Warner.
But that's the thing. Even I don't put either one of those guys in the Luke Kuechly, Ray Lewis,
No.
Ryan Urlacher class.
Mhm.
So I am going to go an edge rusher. I don't think they repeat with Myles Garrett. I don't
Who
want to
was
pick.
the last back-to-back repeat? Was it JJ?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
No, Donald, Aaron Donald.
Did he back-to-back?
Yeah, I
repeat?
think so.
Okay.
He got like
Yeah, I
3
think-
of 4.
Because
I think.
well, JJ got 3 or 4 as well because he went win, got injured. Khalil Mack won it, and then he won it again in his 4th year.
People don't understand Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt, their legacies hold up with the players from the 80s. Like, what they did in this generation's unheard of. I'm not going to go TJ. Last year, I chose Micah Parsons, which is funny because I picked Myles Garrett every year, and he never got it. And then the one year I don't take him, he does end up getting it when he shouldn't have. I'm going to go Micah Parsons here. I was trying to think about what I could see happening a few months from now. And I can just see Micah putting up just an absurd season with 100 tackles, 20 sacks, and maybe even a pick or two, and just getting a ludicrous contract. In my head, I can vividly see that happening and just screwing the Cowboys for not paying these guys when they should have. Micah Parsons is my pick.
Going back to the quarterbacks real quick, it seems like just about almost every year quarterback wins Offensive Player of the Year. They also win MVP. Mahomes in 18, Ryan in 16, Newton in 15, Manning in 13, Brady in 10, Breeze in 11 won Offensive Player of the Year, but Rodgers won MVP. But
So it happens pretty often.
yeah,
They would
but
they would
every
they would
4
they
or
would have
5
to win
years, and then they
MVP.
usually win MVP, but not always. But similar to Hayden, I'm gonna go edge rusher and my pick last year, T.J. Watt. I talked about it before on the show. In my opinion, when he's healthy, he's the most dominant player in football. So I'm gonna go with TJ.
All right. I'm gonna go a little bit different, kind of sneaky under some people's radars.
I was thinking about that one actually.
But I like Aiden Hutchinson a lot this year for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's only gotten better each year. I think the Lions defense has taken a massive step up, especially in the secondary, which will give him more time to pass rush. Also, I think the Lions are going to be really good. So if you're up in games, gives you more opportunities for pass rush statistics. People aren't really running the ball. Honorable mention, though, goes out to Max Crosby. I think the only thing that really would shy me away from him is that their offense isn't going to be that good. So, like,
You don't get as many opportunities.
Yeah.
Just pin your ears back
Exactly.
and go after the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, but I do like them bringing in Christian Wilkins. They have some other pieces that help. boost their
Tyree
D-line.
Wilson,
yeah,
can he develop into
yeah, like
the
they
freak that
boosted
he
their
could
D line.
be?
It's like Max Crosby, honorable mention, but I like Aiden Hutchinson a lot. I think the Lions are going to be just as good as last year.
So, hold on, go ahead.
I don't think Hutchinson's like at that level of the pass rushers that we've mentioned, but I think that for some reason Hutch just like makes those splash plays. Like you'll turn on the TV
Yeah.
and he has like did he have 2 interceptions in that one game?
Well, I was just gonna say
It's
it's
like he
almost
just makes
TJ
those
Watt
calls.
esque, and I know that's gonna be it's just a white like edge rusher, but he does like kind of make those like weird plays where
Yeah.
he's not the most athletic on the field,
Just
but
gets
he
the
just
ball.
seems to be in the right place at the
He's
right
got those
time.
little arms.
It's like,
You remember in
Hey.
the draft when they were like, it's like, oh, he can't go first overall. He has little arms. Like,
Hey, the first
Yeah.
overall pick has worked out as well. Trevon Walker looks
Yeah.
like he's gonna be a freak.
Yeah.
Or
That's my
we
pick.
already have one bet as a podcast. The Eagles going 17-0. I was thinking, and I'm sure you were looking on your phone over there. Hutchinson's odds are probably outside of the top 10.
Mhm.
They're not. They
He's
are.
probably top 5, right?
no, he's not top 5. He's 7.
Oh, okay.
7. He's.
Oh, I was gonna say
he's
we
number
might
6.
have a little bit of a parlay
Yeah.
going on here with the podcast.
Yeah.
Lamar and
Saquon Hutch.
Yeah, so mine, I mean, I do like the TJ Watt pick, but I don't want to be a homer. I do think that last time TJ won it, was one of the times that he felt snubbed. He came out the next year and he was just an absolute monster. We mentioned that edge rushers get it, and the league has shown us that the thing that they care about the most with edge rushers is sack number. And TJ Watt is going to have 18 sacks again this season, unless, barring injury, he's going to have 17, 18 sacks again, like he always does. That being said, I don't want to be a homer, so I'm going to go outside the box on this one. Give me a guy that's on a different team than he was last year. A guy who had high double-digit sacks, if I remember, last season. And last year he had nobody in the opposite side of him.
Danielle Hunter.
This year he has Will Anderson Jr. on the other side. Why can't Danielle Hunter go out and get 18.5 sacks this season?
Good.
And if they're as good as projected, where they're going to be ahead in a lot of games, a lot of teams against them are going to be dropping back into shotgun to pass. Danielle Hunter can tee off. He can go and get his sacks.
Yeah.
He can do what he does. Give me Danielle Hunter here. He actually has just lower than Will Anderson Jr. odds to win this award, which Will Anderson Jr. obviously won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. So looking at the numbers, we mentioned, you said Micah was your pick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Micah has the best odds at plus 550. Then you got Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and TJ Watt are tied at 850. We had Aiden Hutchinson mentioned he's plus 1400, and then Danielle Hunter plus 3200. So all of those guys are top 10, 11. Danielle Hunter might be 11. They don't have a number, but I'm going to guess it's 10 or 11.
It is crazy, like, just thinking about how many insane edge rushers there are. Like, out of the very cream of the crop, the only guy we didn't mention was Nick Bosa, but what about Nick's brother if he gets healthy? Joey. What about Joey's teammate and Khalil Mack? Like,
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen Hines.
His
Travon
odds
Walker.
were like up there, I think,
His
which
are-
kind of surprised me.
He's tied with Danielle Hunter plus 3200.
Oh, okay.
So he's at like 11 or 12.
All right.
So
Montez
there,
I thought he was,
Sweat's
like
up
7 or
there.
8 for some reason.
Trey Hendrickson, Rashawn Gary, and then you get into the DBs from that point. So
well, I was just going to say, if there is a non-edge rusher to win this award this year, I think there's one clear guy that stands out, and it's Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
Because, one, everyone knows who Sauce Gardner is. That's like a household name. He's going to get the splash plays, and I think he's going to be on a very good Jets team in a very big New York market. Like, he's an interesting sleeper one to watch.
So he's got better odds as a DB than Jalen Carter, Joey Bosa, Quinnen Williams, and Roquan Smith, and Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
So,
Is there any other sleepers, non-edge rushers that you guys would think? Like, that's the one clear obvious
Kyle
one.
Hamilton.
Hamlin. Okay.
Kyle
Sneaky,
I like
sneaky
that.
good pick.
Like
I also-
Pasterton.
I love Pat Surtain. I'm a huge Pat Surtain guy. I don't think that the Broncos are going to be good enough for him to win it.
But
I was
maybe
gonna
teams
say
just
it.
like kind of stay away from him because they're.
He would have to get
defense isn't great.
double-digit picks this year to even be considered for it, and I don't know that he's going to
Minka?
get
Is
double-digit
Minka an
picks.
interesting one?
Yeah,
That
Minka's interesting.
Minka's first year in Pittsburgh, he was right there in the conversation for most of the year.
Yeah.
And he seems to have an on and off year every other year. If he sticks with that pattern, should be his on year where he gets 6-ish interceptions and returns a couple of them. I could see it.
The only thing with that is if you look at someone like Deron Bland from last year who scored like 3 or 4 touchdowns as a DB with like 6 picks.
It was 6.
He scored a lot and had 6 picks, and like you didn't even hear his name through DB.
My thing with that though is people know Minka is one of the best safeties.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Bland, there's a
It's a bit
reason
of a
he's getting
surprise,
thrown out.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, before we get to the rookie of the year, I do want to kind of ask a similar question just with MVP. What would your guys' lead non-quarterback MVP be? Like Tyreek and CMC are the obvious ones because they're the recent.
I mean, it's probably just my offensive player of the year. 'cause
Jamar,
that's like kind of what I was
like-
thinking for my
So yeah,
offensive player
if
of the year.
Jamar gets 2K this year and he's as good as we think he's going to be, I think it would have to be Jamar.
I mean,
in
I
my
think
opinion.
a very.
You don't think Burrow would get it?
I mean, if Jamar goes over 2K, then I think the first receiver to go over 2K, people are going to be clamoring for them to be the MVP. It happened back when AB was approaching that number back. Was that 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp a couple years ago.
Yeah, people are starving for a non-quarterback to win MVP.
What about
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson? The Falcons quarterback situation seems a little iffy. Kirk Cousins, an older age. What if he doesn't play the full season? There's not a wide receiver who's going to be getting a ton of targets. Like, I feel like Bijan would be another one kind of grouped in with CMC
Bijan.
and
Yeah.
Tyreek.
I like Bijan. I mean, I think he can do something similar to like what Saquon did, like over 2,000 like yards as far as like rushing, receiving combined. I just don't know like, because they love Algier there too. Like, Algier's gonna get his touches, but someone similar to that, I like Jonathan Taylor, sneaky pick. I mean, he's someone who can carry a workload. Like, he's led the league in rushing before. Like, he's been Offensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Like, he won it once. So, like,
Did he?
I thought so.
He won Offensive Rookie of the Year, maybe.
Oh, maybe it was. I thought he won OPOY.
No.
He didn't win Rookie of the Year. I know that. He did not win Offensive
No?
Player of the Year. No, first team All Pro.
He was first team All Pro. But I think he's someone who, like, their offense is going to run through Jonathan Taylor.
He had a rushing title, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
year. Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. But
All right, moving on to Rookies of the Year. We'll start off with offensive, and I'll kick things off. This award almost always goes to a quarterback. If you're a rookie quarterback and your team goes to the playoffs, you're a pretty safe bet for Rookie of the Year. Despite we seemingly always have at least one rookie wide receiver eclipse 1,000 yards. Mine might be a little bit of a sleeper. Most people would go Caleb Williams, and rightfully so. The dude is a freak. Jaden Daniels has the rushing ability, and in a weakened NFC, I'm going to go Bo Nix. And I think that's because, and I'm lower on the Broncos than, definitely I'm lower than the Bears. I think Washington and them might be a little bit even. Washington might have the edge just because of the competition advantage. But Bo Nix is in the best situation strictly because of who's coaching him. You can't understate the value of having an offensive-minded head coach. Bo Nix and Sean Payton seem to be clicking on all cylinders. I have faith in Bill. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but I think he's going to show the right things. He's my Rookie of the Year.
I think if Caleb Williams doesn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year with the Bears and no other rookies have a historic season, then Caleb's in trouble. Or, like, Bears fans aren't happy. Like, he's set up to where he definitely should win it. I think he wins it. With that said, screw first-round quarterbacks. Marv's a freak. I'm going Marv. But Caleb should win it. Like, he's the number one overall pick, generational talent, and he has, unlike a lot of other first-round picks, he has a ton around him. He really, really, really should win it. But I'm
Just a
gonna go with
bum
Marv.
for a head coach.
I'm also going to go Marv. I mean, obviously, Caleb has the best odds, and it's like a quarterback award. However, if we think Marvin Harrison is what he is, if everyone who does fantasy football drafts him at the end of the first, beginning of the second round, and he goes for 1,400 yards, and the Cardinals look good, and he scores, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns, like, you gotta consider him as, like, one of the best rookie wide receiver seasons. I mean, obviously, there's, like, the Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, like, even Jettas. But, like, he's going to be close to that. Like, you could see Marv winning it. Sleeper pick, though, Jaden Daniels. Like, if Washington can sit in that 6 or 7 win range and he looks really good and has, like, the rushing around him as well, like, if he rushes for 500 or 600 yards, 5, 6 rushing touchdowns, like, Jaden Daniels has a pretty good case. Almost even better than Caleb Williams, almost.
yeah, I mean, I think that any of these answers that I've heard so far are good. I personally, again, it should be Caleb, but again, I'm not going to choose that. I do think that Marv is probably my answer. I think that the reason in my mind is because we've seen when Kyler Murray has a true number one wide receiver and he hyper fixates on them. You saw the numbers that D-Hop put up with him. I think that Marvin Harrison has a chance to be what D-Hop was with the Cardinals. I'm not going to put up the lofty expectation that Marv is going to be D-Hop. But what I'm saying is I think that he can fill that X role that the Cardinals haven't had since D-Hop left.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who else is there? Zay Jones just got hurt.
He's suspended.
Suspended. Rondale Moore's gone. Greg Dortch.
They got the Dortch or
Michael Wilson.
I like Trey McBride this year, but it's like a tight end can only do so much over the middle of the field when your quarterback is 5'10". Like, I think he's listed at 6 foot, but like he's 5'10". Either way, I think that Marv is going to be the key to them doing stuff this year. I could see him. I don't know if he's going to break the receiving rookie record, but I could see him having 1,300 yards this season. Pretty. Maybe double-digit touchdowns. Like,
I mean, he's definitely
gonna
have enough. He's gonna have the targets for it,
and he's gonna have his name in this conversation at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I hate the term generational talent. Like, I really didn't hate it being used on Marv, because it's like some of the catches he makes,
Yeah.
It's just
And it's just,
it's
like,
wild.
his
Yeah.
physical attributes
Right.
too. It's like he's what,
I
6'4".
mean, his dad. He is his dad, but 6'4". Like that's kind of what he is, and his dad's a
Quiet
Hall of
guy,
Famer. Like
just
yeah.
working. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run through these real quick. Caleb Williams obviously has the best odds by a substantial margin. Jaden Daniels number 2, Marv number 3. Bo Nix is actually number 4, so good call on that one, Hayden. And then they actually have Drake May at number 5.
Who would you like as like a long shot? Like who's like 9 or 10?
I like Worthy.
I mean, they've got guys like Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey.
Brian
I mean,
Thomas.
I would love it for it to go.
I would say Brian Thomas and the Concord.
Yeah.
Brian
too,
Thomas is
for
a
me.
little lower
Brian
down,
Thom-
and I think he has a chance to.
Brian Thomas is tied with Brock Bowers, which I don't think is a terrible pick. It's never going to go to tight end. I'm going to say
No.
JT Sanders just because that's
I mean,
my
if
guy.
you think Josh
He's
Allen's
good.
winning MVP, then maybe pair that with a Keon Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That could be.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Blake Corum. Michael Penix Jr. is actually on there.
I would say Brian Thomas because one, I'm high on the Jags. Two, I think he can come in and be the number 1 guy right away.
Yeah.
And I love Christian Kirk, but Brian Thomas. I said this during the draft process, so I'll say it again just to refresh everyone. I think that it's not a long shot. We look back 3 years from now and say, all right, Brian Thomas was just as good as the 3 guys taken ahead of him, if not better.
Yeah.
Talking about Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, and Roma Dunze.
Alright.
Okay, if I go first for this next one.
No, I was just going to say I want to go last for this
Yeah,
one. So.
right. So I've been talking about this guy for a long time.
Mm.
I think that Texas's team was great last year. I think that there was reasons for that. I think that their offense was really good with the weapons that got drafted, and then I think that their defense was also really good. And arguably the best player on their defense was Byron Murphy II. He
Yeah.
probably was the best player on their defense.
He's really good.
I love
You know
the
what's
fit.
crazy though?
What's that?
Another defensive lineman on that team
Who's
won
that?
Big 12
Yeah.
defensive player. of the
Was
year.
it Devondre Sweat?
Yep.
Yeah. Who's also really good, but like
Yeah, but Byron Murphy was better.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Byron Murphy fits what the NFL wants out of a D tackle, where like Tavondre Sweat's a nose tackle, which like yeah, they have a place in the NFL now, but it's kind of like a really good fullback kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like they're going to be in packages. He's not going to be on the field 3 downs,
Yeah.
4 downs. Like I think that Byron Murphy, I almost said Miles Murphy. I think that Byron Murphy is a 3 down, start right away kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like you plug and play. In addition to that, I think that Mike McDonald's system really favors the D tackle as well. We saw how good Justin Madubuike was last year. I mean, he went from being a name that nobody knew to being was he a first team All Pro last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that for whatever reason, like his system is really favorable to that position. I think that, like I said, Murphy's an absolute monster, and I think that they have a young, talented defense. Where if he can tee off and get after the quarterback, get tackles for loss in the run game, like I think that he's got as good a case as anybody.
Yeah, I love Byron Murphy as well. I didn't go him here because I knew you were going to go Byron Murphy.
I'm big on him this year.
But the other guy that I actually have like really high as well is Terrion Arnold.
Hmm.
I think he's the best cornerback in this draft class. He goes to a Lions team that desperately needs corner help, and if I think they turn around their defense like I think they will, he's definitely going to be a big part of it. So I think, I mean, it's not unheard of for corners to win Defensive Rookie. I mean, Sauce did it. Did Tariq Woolen do it? Or no?
Tariq Woolen did not.
No.
It was the same year Sauce and Sauce
Oh,
won it.
okay, yeah, that's what- yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore won it.
Yeah, Marshawn Lattimore won it.
Denzel Ward.
I
too,
think
right?
Denzel Ward might have won it. Yeah,
Marcus
so like
Peters.
Marcus
corners,
Peters.
yeah, corners can have a really good impact
Marcus
and have a
Peters
good
actually
chance to
picks
score.
his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean it's
That's
Dog.
wild.
He was so good.
yeah. I mean he does the same thing Trayvon Diggs does. He just like he'll like take more risks, which I mean does lead to more picks, but also does lead to more like coverages given up. But yeah, I really like Terrion Arnold. I think the Lions defense is top 7, top 8 this year. So
I don't know if you guys remember my snafu last year. Do you remember it with Christian Gonzalez?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was on the Lions, and I
yeah.
said Christian Gonzalez. I don't know what happened. I was an idiot, but I said Lions will probably play in quite a few shootouts. I know he wasn't on there. Giving more of a chance for interceptions. They've had a couple guys the past few years just randomly pop up. Monty Warrior had 6 in 2021, so I like Terrion Arnold as well. I like going corners with Defensive Rookie of the Year picks. I think D-line, I think it's the same as Defensive or Player of the Year, where the sacks are gonna look good. I think it's just so hard to project. Whereas corners, they're gonna get thrown at. They're bound to get at least a few interceptions if they're decent. So I'm gonna go with Terrion as well.
So, before I name mine, did want to correct myself on Justin Matabuke. First of all, I don't know if you guys heard, but he is going by Namdi now.
Oh.
And then also he was second team All-Pro, along with
team
Pro
All-Pro.
Bowler this
Yes,
year.
his Nigerian name is Namdi. So he said he wants to be more true to himself.
All right.
Says he's going to be better, even better this year because of it.
Good for him.
Second year in a row that a Ravens defender has gone back to their birth name.
Was that Owe?
Yeah,
Yeah, was-
Jason to Odofwe.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought
was
I
a few
remember him
years
being
ago, yeah.
Jason. Yeah.
So for mine, I'm naming 3 guys.
Oh gosh.
So
You gotta pick one at the end of it, though, right?
sure.
Yeah.
So the first one's
try,
a homer.
Try to pick out his the pattern here.
I said 3 guys, so one of them's not listed.
Okay.
So the first guy's a homer pick, Peyton Wilson. Which, listen, if you're in a linebacking core where you're playing with Landon Roberts, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith, and T.J. Watt, with Cam Hayward in front of you and Minka Fitzpatrick and Joey Porter Jr. behind you, you're
Joey Love from Hayden.
I don't hate Joey. I just
You hate Joey.
no, no. Would I have preferred Christian Gonzalez, Brian Branch? Yeah, but
They would have had to trade up for those guys. Not Brian
Okay.
Branch, but Christian Gonzalez.
You just put Joey in the same term as TJ,
Oh.
Cam Hayward.
and Landon Roberts.
I'm sorry, we traded up.
Yes,
with the
we traded
Patriots,
up
that's
and we
right.
could have. Yeah. Anyways, shout out Becca. Peyton Wilson gonna be in position to succeed. He was a steal of the draft. The knee concerns, but guess what? If you get 4 years out of him, that's the lifespan of most players anyway. The playmaking ability is there. He's going to be surrounded by great talent. So he's my homer pick. But I don't feel confident in choosing a Steeler to win pretty much any award. So we're going to shift over to a team that does win a lot of awards.
This isn't PFF. They can win awards. PFF.
Okay.
If PFF was in control of this,
Oh,
they'd
here
never
we
win
go.
anything.
All right, so I'm going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to their secondary.
Yeah.
I loved, shocker, I loved something Howie Roseman did. I loved his first 2 picks of the draft.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean is a steal. I don't care if you're playing him in the boundary corner, the slot defender, free safety, strong safety. He can play all 5 positions, and guess what? He's going to be darn good at all 5. I also like Quinyon Mitchell. He was my number 1 corner in the draft. He has everything you look for. Ball skills, long arms, and fast. One of those 2 guys are my real defensive rookie of the year pick. Pick your poison.
What's Peyton Wilson's odds?
Really good. Real quick before we go, shout out Nate Wiggins. I think Nate Wiggins is gonna ball out. And,
I was so
mean,
mad
he's-
when the Ravens drafted him.
No, me too. I love that guy. I mean, the number 2 just looks clean with the Baltimore numbers and like. Shout out Hunter. I was doing a jersey order and I was like, "Do you want a jersey?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Actually, you know what I do?" I was like, "You want Nate Wiggins?" He's like, "Actually, yeah, I want Nate Wiggins."
He wasn't
So,
even that excited when they drafted
I
him.
know,
You and I were
right?
like trying to talk him into it.
He's on the train. Listen, the more you look into Nate Wiggins, the more you get on the train.
Which, by the
dude's
way,
a
did you
baller.
see the
Dude,
like
he was
9
at
jerseys
Clemson,
I'm
right?
ordering?
Dude, he was so
What'd you
good.
say?
Do you see the 9 jerseys I'm ordering?
Yes, I saw the 9 jerseys you're ordering. All right.
Actually, 9.
Not all. Some of them are for Kolash, but yeah.
All right, so real quick, by far of the people mentioned, Peyton Wilson has the best odds here.
Really?
He has plus 5,000.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. There's no chance he will.
He's
all
got
the
he's got
people
the same odds as Edgerrin Cooper and Kamari Lassiter to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So if you're looking for a bang for your buck, assuming you think Peyton Wilson's going to get snaps, is going to stay healthy the whole season, Peyton Wilson is a good bet there. Nate Wiggins is plus 3,500. Cooper DeJean also is plus 3,500. Quinyon Mitchell plus 1,600. We didn't mention him, but Chop Robinson is 1,400. Terran Arnold 1,400. Byron Murphy 1,400. And the top 3 guys that none of us mentioned, Leatu Latu has the best odds.
Dallas Flowers.
Dallas Turner,
Oh,
and then Jared Verse.
Yeah.
So,
the edge rushers.
which none of those guys really excite me.
No.
They're going to be good. I know
Verse is
Jared
a
Verse is
freak,
going to
but,
fit.
like-
Yeah, Jared Verse is going to fit right in. He's going to be great. But like, none of those guys excite me personally as much as
Yeah.
Byron Murphy does.
Yeah, I like the odds for all the people we said. Like,
I already have a bet on Byron Murphy plus 1,400.
yeah,
Like
that's well.
that's
I have one on
Why
him
I
and
put
Terry
the-
in Arnold. I have one on both. I parlayed them into some of my
the
other
same
predictions. Well, not the same parlay.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But
They
like
were
the,
plus 1 million
Yeah.
together.
Could you
They
imagine
split.
if they gave it to
They
the 2
like-
people and you guessed that was going to happen?
oh, like they shared the award.
That would be wild.
Odds would be insane.
Yeah.
Naples is upgrading our studio if that happens.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
All right.
Plenty to go around.
Do you guys want to go coach of the year or comeback player of the
I
year?
think comeback.
Comeback?
Yeah.
All right.
Stick with the
You
old
wanna
players. Yeah,
kick
I
it
can
off?
start off. I'm gonna go with the very. I mean, there's really only like 2 or 3 people. That
This
come
one
to
might be
mind.
a chalk answer.
It's got to be Aaron Rodgers. With comeback player of the year, it's all about the story. 4 plays in, he tears his Achilles. All the hype around New York Jets and their media, like it's such like, and how polarizing Aaron Rodgers is in the media.
I thought you might go to Deshaun Watson for the
No,
same exact reason.
no. Well, I mean, I don't think that he's gonna have as good at numbers as like an Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers is just a bigger name, obviously. So like I think it's Aaron Rodgers. Honorable mention though, Nick Chubb, like same kind of thing. Really gruesome injury. Like even if he comes back and like he's obviously gonna miss the first 4 games at least, but like if he comes back and looks like the same Nick Chubb, like he has just as much a case if the Browns are good. Like even last year, Joe Flacco came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and he only played 5 games and won comeback player of the year. Like that's how random the award can be sometimes. But I think if Aaron Rodgers plays the whole year, his Achilles tear was on primetime television, 4 plays in. Like if he comes back and looks like Aaron Rodgers, I mean it's got to be A-Rod.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I do think that Aaron Rodgers, and even looking at the odds, like it's him by a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go something a little bit off the beaten path for this one, but he actually has the worst odds on this list of
Okay.
everybody here to win this award. Dre Greenlaw is on PUP to start the season, so he's gonna miss at least 4 games is what that means. If he comes back from his Achilles this season and plays anywhere near where he was last year, because he was an absolute stud last year. Yes, it's a long shot for it to happen, but the way that he injured himself was so unfortunate, and everybody
Super
saw
Bowl
it.
too, yeah.
Everybody saw it on national television. And maybe things go a little bit differently if he wasn't injured. And if the Niners are as good as advertised and if they were as good as they were last year, why couldn't it be Dre Greenlaw?
Yeah.
Also, a quick shout out to guy that you brought up earlier, your pick last year for defensive rookie of the year. I think Christian Gonzalez, if he comes out and balls this year, could also be like why in a defense that's not on a team that's not very good. If he's the best player on that defense this year, like why couldn't it be?
Could be.
Shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, what does like Dre Greenlaw like? Does he have to do so much more because he got injured in the Super Bowl though? Like it's not like he was out for so long of the
I
season.
think he
like,
has to
him
do
starting
so
on the-
much just because he's a linebacker.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's a long shot, but it just
Yeah.
it would make a
But
great
you don't think
story.
it would be.
It
thing,
doesn't.
too.
You don't think it hurts that it happened like in the Super
Yeah, because
Bowl?
he didn't really miss the regular season.
Right.
So
He
like,
didn't, but he also had a great.
No,
run.
I
He's
think
that
like-
counts
that
as
has
comeback,
happened
you think?
before. Like I
Yeah.
think Adrian Peterson tore his ACL really late in the season, but then
Yeah.
he came back and had that
I just didn't know
MVP
voters would be
comeback
like,
player.
is he a comeback player? Like, of course he came back from a gruesome injury and he's
Yeah.
gonna start on the pup. But
I don't know. I think the main thing that hurts him is there's just so many other injuries that were just like.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, like I said, it's a long shot, but from a fantasy perspective,
I like
probably
the
Aiden
pick,
Richardson.
though. I didn't even
no,
think
I
about
think
that.
that's a fun pick. I just didn't know like if that was a thing.
Yeah, A-Rich is definitely. A-Rich is another.
Put
No,
some money
that's a
in.
fun one.
It's plus 25,000 on that.
I don't want to go A-Rod, but I also don't want to go like crazy. So
like
I'm-
Anthony
So
Richardson.
A-Rich,
Yeah.
it's your boy.
yeah, my boy.
Your boy.
Comeback player of the year next year.
Next year after he gets injured. Back to back. He's come back. It's 2 years in
How
the
early
making.
is it to put a comeback player of the year? Can I do it before he gets hurt this year? I'm just gonna go with Deshaun. I don't like picking the Browns, but I don't think he has to do a ton. Honestly, I think that voters. It's gonna be tough for voters just because it's like, obviously it's injury related, but also it will be a little. I don't want to say controversial, but like kinda. I also think that people aren't gonna want to vote for A-Rod either, just because of. I don't know. I think it will get political, honestly. But I'll just go with Sean for the fun of it.
The one thing I would say to that, because I do think Eli's right, personal opinions will definitely be brought up when discussing A-Rod and Deshaun Watson in terms of awards and even their Hall of Fame legacies. Rodgers is obviously going to get in, but would it be unheard of for him to not go first ballot because of some of the stuff he's pulled? No, because it's happened to T.O. Deshaun Watson, at one point, was definitely on the Hall of Fame trajectory. At this point, not so much. Definitely needs to reverse course. Rodgers is my pick, but I do want to throw out another guy just because I'm super high on him and I love him. Every year he's the best running back in week 1, and then he's averaging like 6 yards per carry, and then everything in his knee implodes. J.K. Dobbins.
I mean,
And-
that's so bad.
Like, I'm high on the Chargers, as you guys know. I love Jim Harbaugh. I think him and Justin Herbert are going to do amazing. Go ahead, say it.
Nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say anything.
And then I think Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins coming over on the other side of the country, they're going to do really good things. So Dobbins is my hopeful one.
I'm having like flashbacks. I'm pretty sure when Dobbins got hurt this past year, we did like 10 minutes on how much it sucked when he got hurt.
That sounds right. Because he was amazing week 1, and then
Yeah, like I think we dove into it for a while.
Couple names we didn't mention there on this list. I mean, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are both on here.
What's the
I mean-
Mars?
Who's?
DeMar
Hamlin.
What's his?
Hey, he's
It's
still
not even
coming
on-
back,
he's not
baby.
even on here. I mean, Mark Andrews' name is on here. Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold.
I don't
best
hate
odds.
Kirk, honestly.
I like
Yeah.
Kyler a lot on there too.
Yeah,
I
I like.
should look it over.
I do like Kyler this year as far as
see,
like
that's one that I would have a problem. He played the second half of last year.
the whole thing, the whole second half.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they
because then
don't-
they traded Josh Dobbs. Remember?
Yeah,
They don't
true.
even care about that though.
But yeah, Aaron Rodgers definitely has the best. Then goes Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Burrow, I don't like.
Yeah,
Like I don't under.
I mean,
yeah.
I just if I think if we think Burrow's gonna be really good and he has a chance at the MVP, like they're not gonna give him 2 awards.
Yeah.
And even if he's top 3 MVP, I don't think they give him comeback player. of the
Yeah.
year.
And then J.K. Dobbins is just below Kyler Murray and above Tank Dell at plus 3,000. And then you got to go all the way down to the bottom of the list to go to Dre Greenlaw at plus
go.
25,000. TJ Watt's actually on this list.
25,000. Jeez.
Yeah. But Uchenna Nwosu has a better odds to win it than Dre Greenlaw. So take that
TJ's
as
an
well.
interesting one because I forgot, but kind of that's a similar story to the
Told-
Dre
I told
Greenlaw.
you, dude. You want to read it out loud? Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. No, just more stuff with Jamar Chase. It's just he's trending towards not playing in the opener if they don't wrap things up with negotiations quickly.
Yeah, I called.
Well, I mean, it's almost Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't even practiced, so it makes
Well,
sense.
I don't think he's a guy that would need to practice.
But he hasn't practiced at all. Like he hasn't done any team all
I
summer.
mean, yeah, but these guys, I
He-
mean, they stay in shape.
he's-
Maybe like 10 reps.
But
that's
also,
a,
he's a little unique though. He's been playing with Joe Burrow since college. Like he doesn't
it's a
need the
new offensive
chemistry.
coordinator.
He doesn't need
Like,
the chemistry. I mean, stuff with receivers. Like there's a little bit of stuff. If he goes through Friday walkthroughs, I think he's fine.
maybe a couple snaps. New offensive coordinator. Burrow hasn't been healthy for a full year. But all right, Super Bowl predictions.
Are we gonna go over coach?
Oh shoot, yeah.
I think we skipped over coach.
Yeah.
I start with coach. I really only like 2 people for this award. Everyone else, I feel like it's just like so close or it's a toss up. My pick's gonna be Dan Campbell. He was 3rd in voting last year. I think what he's done with the Lions. What do you mean wild?
Wild that he ended 3rd.
Oh yeah.
He should have been first.
I mean yeah.
Sorry.
I
know Stefanski deserved it. But
the only reason Stefanski won it because of all the quarterback and then still making the playoffs. But like Dan Campbell,
D'Amico.
we turned around the lines. D'Amico's another guy.
Right?
Yeah.
But I like Dan Campbell a lot. I think they're going to be just as good as last year. I think they're going to win the division again. I know some of that stuff doesn't really matter with coach either. Sometimes they, like Bill Belichick, with all how
I
many
don't
great
think he
seasons
has
they
a
had.
single coach
Yeah,
of the year.
has never won coach of the year. But I
Andy
think Dan,
Reid, like I don't think he.
But I think
Mike
Dan-
Tomlin,
yeah.
Mike
yeah.
Tomlin doesn't have.
But I
anything.
think Dan Campbell's very polarizing. I think he's one of those like real, like not real coaches, but like is a coach's coach almost. Like he's more vocal than a lot of other coaches. Like he puts himself out there more.
leader of men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like I think that was always going to keep that kind of a coach in the running. Honorable mention, who I also really like, Jim Harbaugh. If he comes in and the Chargers turn around and make the playoffs, Jim Harbaugh's like gotta be winning coach of the year if the Chargers make the playoffs. Like they're gonna say
His first year.
exactly. They're gonna say he turned around the Chargers.
Yeah.
Everywhere he goes, he's gonna be coach of the year if they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I second that.
Yeah. See, I think it's gonna be it's so hard at the beginning of the season to predict who coach of the year is because it's so based on what happens during
Yeah.
the season,
Storyline
how you
based, yeah.
react, storylines, how you react to injuries, how you overcome stuff. So it's so hard at the beginning of the season. But I mean, I know we're all high on the Rams. I think the year after Aaron Donald retires helps with this storyline.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully, knock on wood, that there's no injuries or anything like that. But we'll see what happens. Like, I mean, why shouldn't it be a top 3 coach in the NFL and make it Sean McVay?
for sure.
I mean, does he have one? I think
so.
maybe his first year.
2017.
Yeah, his first year there, right? Was 2017.
Oh, and that makes sense because that was remember Jared Goff. They were they asked like an anonymous scout, and they were like, "Yeah, you couldn't get a 4th round pick for Goff entering his 2nd year." All of a sudden, he becomes a Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl.
I mean, we're talking about a trajectory Hall of Fame coach right now with Sean McVay, and like, I mean, the fact that he's only won one, like, yeah, some people don't win any, and they're great coaches, but at the same time, like, I mean, why not? Why not Sean McVay?
So, yeah, I like that.
I think I did this last year too. I'm going to spend more of my time hating on Coach of the Year, like the way that it's picked, if we haven't already, than actually talking about my Coach of the Year. I think it's ridiculous, just how it's decided. I don't understand how D'Amico didn't win it last year, honestly. Like, I like Dan Campbell too, but I really, for the life of me, don't understand how D'Amico doesn't win that. I think it's just so based off of media and, like what you guys said, storylines. And a lot of the guys that win Coach of the Year, then they're out in like the next 3 years, and it just shows that it's like the Coach of the Year isn't the best coach, like rarely ever,
No.
which is absolutely
Otherwise, Belichick would have 10.
right, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it's stupid. Because of that, because of how stupid I think it is, I'm gonna go with Raheem Morris with the Falcons because I think that they can win the South. I don't think the division's that great, and I think if Kirk has a decent year, if they go 9-8, 10-7, and make the playoffs, I think that he'll get votes. Whether I agree with that or not, whatever. But I don't like the award at all, honestly.
So hypothetical for you. So CJ Stroud wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. D'Amico Ryans does not win Coach of the Year. Would you? So one of them has to win an award, one doesn't. Would you flip it? Or do you think that CJ deserved Offensive Rookie of the Year more than D'Amico deserved Coach of the Year? Because I think a lot of people would put the Texans' success on Shroud and not the coach.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with the Coach of the Year
Yeah.
award is if you have
That's
a
what- that's what
quarterback
I'm
that,
with
but
that with D'Amico
if
specifically.
your quarterback balls out, they're not looking at the coach.
Yeah.
But if your team like isn't really around the quarterback and like the whole team is good, that's where that's why I think like you look at like the Lions or like you look at like the church, like Goff and Herbert are both really good, but they're never considered at the top. And if you look at all the other quarterbacks around them, like they're not going to have the stats necessarily compared to some of the other guys.
Because I think when you can pinpoint a reason why that person wins, Belichick didn't win because he had Tom Brady.
Such a joke.
Right, and like Mike Tomlin didn't win because he had Ben Roethlisberger, because he had T.J. Watt, whatever you want to pinpoint. Which, yes, I agree that it's a joke and it's ridiculous. Sean McVay didn't win it because he had Aaron Donald, which is part of the reason. Like now that he's gone, I think that the same thing applies to D'Amico Ryans, which it should, because D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this podcast, but at the same time, it's like because of how good CJ Stroud is and played last year, I think that actually worked against D'Amico in that argument.
Yeah, which is like it's really not off of like how the team plays. So I'll go in like 2 minute spiel, not even 2 minutes, 30-second spiel. MLB, I hate how they do Manager of the Year too, because they always base it off of like run differential and their wins based off of run differential. And where the NFL doesn't base it off of score differential, they almost do. Where it's like, oh, your team was poor, but you still won games, Coach of the Year. And that that shouldn't be the case at all. Like, it's not your team not being poor, I guess, but like not being amazing but still winning games. I don't think that should just constitute Coach of the Year, because part of being a coach is making your team really good.
No, yeah, I agree. It is kind of a weird award.
Yeah, I'm not a
which
fan
is
of it.
why it's so hard.
It could be a really, really good award.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I hate that they choose the best coach. It's just how they choose it I don't like.
Same thing with like comeback player of the year. It's they change how they define the award every year. Like, is it someone who got hurt? But like then you have people like Joe Flacco, like he just came off the couch. You have people like
Is it
Geno
someone who
Smith.
sucked?
Yeah,
Like
is it
Geno,
someone? Oh,
like
Geno
Ryan
Smith.
Tannehill?
Yeah, Geno Smith just had a good year. He's comeback player. Like, or is it someone like, oh, this person tore their Achilles and came back and did really good.
Right. It's like either you go 14-2, your team's amazing, you win Coach of the Year, or it's like, wow, we really didn't have high expectations for your team this year. You guys did pretty good. Here's Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, you rose over expectations, but it should be about like quality.
Which is
as
how
well.
Matt Nagy, Jason Garrett, Ron Rivera
Jason
all have
Garrett.
coaching
Multiple.
of Coach of the Years. Yeah.
Hey,
All right. Running out of time. Give me one quick bold prediction before we go into Super Bowls.
You go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll start off. I think Jalen Waddle leads Miami in receiving yards this year.
That's a good one. Eagles 17-0.
Yes, sir. It's for the leg.
Me? Jalen Hurts leads the league in rushing touchdowns.
The Texans don't make the playoffs. The Jags win the division. And going to contradict my MVP, just to throw it out there, a dark horse MVP candidate, T-Law.
Like it.
All right, Super Bowl predictions to wrap it up.
I'll go first. I'm just like riding with the Eagles. It's not going to work out, but why not have some fun with it this year? I'm going to go with Eagles over the Bengals. I have the Ravens winning the division. I think the Ravens might be one of the best teams in the league. I think they're the best team in the AFC, honestly. So for some reason, I don't want to go them because I think that they're the best team. I do like Burrow this year, although I don't think he wins MVP or they win the division. So I think the Bengals get it done in the AFC this year and then lose to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. 31-23.
Little Eagles revenge.
I've talked about this for a long time. I'm in the same boat where I think the Eagles have a cupcake schedule this year, and they also got better.
Yeah.
Like, they extended their guys. They gave Devontae Smith the money. They gave A.J. Brown the money.
Their
Yes,
rosters
they lost
are
their
so fun.
They
They're
lost their
gonna
Hall of
suck
Fame
somehow.
center. That's huge. Losing Jason Kelsey was huge, but they added Saquon Barkley to the mix. They have Landon Dickerson. They have who could play center, but he's not. They paid him as a guard. So they also have what's his name? Cam Jurgens. Like, the defense is just filled with young studs, and at the same time, yes, Darius Slay I think is on the downward trajectory in his career. He's still a serviceable corner. And then in addition to that, they went out and they drafted somebody. They went out and got Cooper DeJean. I think that they made the moves Howie Roseman always does to be a contender again this year. Realistically, no, they're not going 17-0. They could go 15-2 this season.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully they go 15-0 and then we cash out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both those losses could be to the Cowboys. They could still be.
That
They could
first
still be
Cowboys
15-2.
game, 11 or 12, would be tough not to cash out.
The Eagles, they went out and added 2 new coordinators as well. I think that the Eagles, in my opinion, are going to represent the NFC. I think I've been high on the Bengals all season. I think the Bengals are going to represent the AFC, and I think it's going to be Eagles over Bengals.
Wow.
Score, let's go with 34. You said 31, right?
Yeah.
Let's go 34-19.
And the Eagles win?
Eagles win.
Wow. So you both have Eagles over Bengals, with the Eagles winning. That's kind of wild.
Not gonna happen.
Wow. And
Why not?
to continue the train, I have the Eagles from the NFC. You guys touched on a lot of the stuff, but I think it's fair. I think they're the team that gets the 1 seed in the NFC, and I think that's going to be the difference between going to the Super Bowl and not.
Are we an Eagles podcast?
I think we might be, but
We're an
but
Eagles and
you
Bucks
guys touched on it. The offense is gonna be good. Jalen Hurts is gonna have a bounce back year from what he did a year ago. You guys say, they fell apart in the second half of the year. Their offense is gonna be good. Weapons everywhere. Regardless of what you think of the O-line, you don't need a top 5 O-line to be good. The Chiefs have done it and won Super Bowls without a top 5 O-line. Then you look at their defense, which was their struggle point of last year. Their second.
I want to go back to that because I think that the only time they didn't have a top 5 O-line was when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
Their O-line's never been top 5.
Look at their interior.
They have Creed Humphrey, but they're
Joe Thuney, Trey Smith.
They
Those are 2 top 10 guards and maybe the best center in the NFL.
okay. But if you looked at any metrics, they're not a top 5 O-line by any metric. I'm not saying their O-line's bad, because obviously you can't have a poverty O-line and be good. Because we've seen that happen to teams. We've seen it happen to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, even though they still got to the Super Bowl. We've seen it happen to Joe Burrow. But if we look at their secondary, revamped, added 2 new additions. Like you said, Slay's a little bit on the downturn, but he's still he could be a good veteran presence for the 2 young guys. Their front 7 is also still really stacked. If you remember, Jalen Carter is a dog. They who's the edge guy that they drafted?
Who? I'm sorry.
Nolan Smith.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
I
what's
think
your
he's-
pick?
I said the Eagles.
Over?
It's the NFC. But I don't have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, who are the Eagles
Listen.
losing to?
Let me
We
just-
know
let me
who's on
butter
the
it up, let me
roster.
butter it up.
Who-
They've
what's the
completely
pick?
revamped their defense, so I think they're going to be easy NFC pick.
Do you like Hurts this year?
I like Hurts. I think he'll be good.
What
But
about Sirianni? Do you think he can get it
I think
done?
he's fine.
We're
Yeah.
just gonna go through the
Yeah.
whole entire
I was
coaching
gonna
staff
see
and
how-
roster.
Anyway, AFC, I like the Texans a lot. Like I said, a lot of it is going to be home field. Honestly, I think the Texans have a good shot at the 1 seed, but even if they're the 2 seed, I think they match really well with the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs somehow get knocked off by a team early, which probably won't happen because all they do is make it to AFC championships or better, I like the Texans a lot. If Stroud's MVP, I think their team's humming. Their defense is going to be good with D'Amico Ryans and the people that they brought in. Their offense is going to be good if CJ Stroud is what we think he is. I got Texans 27, Eagles 24.
For a Super Bowl appearance, right?
Yep.
All right, so the Texans aren't making the playoffs. The Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl 27-17 against the Detroit Lions. This has been the Second and Short podcast. We'll see you next time.